She was mocked. Then this happened. The classroom was loud, full of laughter and chatter. But in the very last row sat a girl who wished she could disappear. Her name was Lena. Lena was quiet. She rarely spoke unless a teacher asked her a direct question. Her clothes were always simple and a little worn, her backpack old and faded. Her shoes had been repaired so many times that the stitching was visible from a distance. But what made Lena stand out the most was her dream. Lena loved to write. Every spare moment she had, she filled notebooks with stories. Stories about courage, about kindness, about ordinary people who did extraordinary things. But to her classmates, it was ridiculous. One afternoon, during English class, the teacher asked the students to share what they wanted to become in the future. One by one, students proudly announced their dreams. "I want to be a doctor," said Kevin. "I'm going to be a famous singer," said Maria. "I'll start my own company," said Jason confidently. Then it was Lena's turn. She slowly stood up, clutching her notebook. I want to be a writer," she said softly. For a moment, the room was silent. Then someone laughed. Then another. Soon the entire classroom was filled with laughter. "A writer?" One boy mocked. "Who reads books anymore?" Another said, "Maybe she'll write stories about fixing old shoes." Someone shouted. The laughter grew louder. Lena felt her face burn with embarrassment. Her hands trembled as she sat back down. The teacher tried to calm the class, but the damage had already been done. That day, Lena walked home slowly, her head down. Her small house stood at the edge of town. It wasn't much, but it was home. Inside, her grandmother sat by the window knitting. She looked up as Lena entered. "Something happened today," the grandmother said gently. Lena tried to smile. "I'm fine." But grandmothers always know. After a moment, Lena's eyes filled with tears. "They laughed at me," she whispered. Her grandmother listened quietly as Lena explained everything. When she finished, the old woman placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "People laugh at what they don't understand," she said. "But dreams are stronger than laughter." That night, Lena opened her notebook again. For a long time, she stared at the blank page. Part of her wanted to stop writing forever, but another part of her, the stronger part, picked up the pen. And she wrote, day after day, week after week. Lena continued writing. At school, the teasing didn't stop. Whenever someone saw her writing, they whispered or laughed. "Look, the famous author is working again," one student would say sarcastically. But Lena ignored them. Every night she wrote stories. Every morning she woke up, determined to continue. Years passed. School eventually ended, and the students went their separate ways. Some went to college, some started jobs, some left town. And Lena kept writing. She worked part-time at a small bookstore to pay her bills. The job didn't pay much, but it surrounded her with something she loved: books. Every evening after work, she returned to a tiny apartment and wrote for hours. Her first book took 3 years to complete. With nervous excitement, she sent the manuscript to a publisher. Weeks passed. Then the reply arrived. Rejected. The letter was polite, but discouraging. "Thank you for your submission, but this manuscript does not meet our current publishing needs." Lena felt her heart sink, but she didn't stop. She revised the book and sent it to another publisher. Rejected again, and again, and again, and again. By the time she received her 10th rejection, Lena felt exhausted. One evening, she sat in her apartment staring at the pile of rejection letters on her table. Maybe the people at school were right. Maybe she wasn't meant to be a writer. Just as she was about to close her notebook, she noticed something inside it. A small note. It was written in her grandmother's handwriting. It said, "If you believe in your dream, don't let the world decide its value." Lena smiled softly. The next morning, she tried again. Months later, something unexpected happened. A small publishing company replied to her submission, but this letter was different. Instead of a rejection, it said, "We believe your story has potential. We would like to discuss publishing your book." Lena could hardly breathe. Her book was finally going to be published. The process took months, but eventually, her first novel appeared on bookstore shelves. At first, nothing happened. A few copies sold, then a few more. Then something amazing began. Readers started sharing the book online. They wrote about how the story inspired them, how it made them believe in themselves again. Word spread. The book slowly climbed the bestseller list. Within a year, Lena's novel became a national bestseller. Publishers began asking for more of her work. Interviews followed. Articles were written about her journey. Suddenly, the quiet girl who had been mocked for her dream had become a successful author. But the most surprising moment came years later. One day, Lena was invited to speak at her old school. As she walked into the auditorium, memories flooded back. The same hallways, the same classrooms. But this time students filled the seats, waiting to hear her speak. Some of the teachers who remembered her smiled proudly. Lena stepped onto the stage. The room grew silent. She looked at the students and began her speech. "When I sat where you are sitting now," she said, "I told my class I wanted to become a writer." A few students smiled. Everyone laughed. She continued calmly. The room grew quiet, but something important happened because of that laughter. The students leaned forward. It made me realize that dreams are fragile. They can be broken by fear or strengthened by courage. She paused. If people laugh at your dream, don't let that stop you. Sometimes the world laughs first and applauds later. The room erupted in applause. After the speech, a young girl approached Lena Sheely. She held a small notebook. "I want to be a writer too," the girl whispered. Lena smiled warmly. "Then start writing," she said. And just like that, the story continued. Because sometimes, the people who are mocked for their dreams are the very ones who change the world.